This is War Room Moments, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and most relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. War Room Moments is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board. Here's your host, Jason Miller.
All right. Hey, folks. Welcome to another episode in the War Room again. Today with a fantastic young lady from Florida. So honored to have you on the show. And I'm sure we're going to get a lot of really good tips and tricks and things through your story as we maneuver through that and learn about you. It's nice to have you on the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I always say I'm horrible at introducing people, which I absolutely am. I know my own shortfalls. So why don't you give the audience just a little bit of information about who you are and what your superpowers are?
Thank you. I appreciate it, Jason. And I appreciate anybody who's willing to listen right now. Your time is, important. It's the one thing we have here on planet Earth. So my name is Lila Veronica, and I'm a coach, and I help mostly coaches and consultants and speakers and service providers create, sell, and market high-end offers to high-end clients. And my intention, my superpower, my, special sauce is to help people own their worth in the world and feel more valued. And I do that through coaching.
Yeah, very cool. Good stuff. It's a need in the market, no doubt, for sure. Especially for, well, not just new people, but even old dogs too, right? So old dogs can learn new tricks.
I do. I work with old dogs too.
That's right. That's right. Well, hey, Lila, I love to kind of kick the show off with, I don't do a lot of Q&A stuff because we want to learn through your journey here, but let's rewind all the way back to when you were a kid. And do you come from a family of entrepreneurs?
I do not.
Okay. So what did your folks do for a living when you were growing up?
Yeah, I'm actually the first one to have a college degree.
Oh, cool.
In my family, and I have multiple degrees. And I grew up with a single mom who would pull together money, whether it be waitressing, babysitting, cleaning houses, working at a thrift store, really just whatever she could find, a low wage job. She got married when I was 10. I got a stepdad who adopted me, and him and that whole family primarily were iron workers and millwrights, and they did a lot of the building of automotive industry in America. So tough, strong men who built things. And my mom comes from a real small farm town, and she didn't have any, she never felt like she could do much. So she would take low paying jobs her whole life. And a lot of the other women in the family didn't work as well. So they worked the husbands worked in factories or building stuff mostly.
Yeah, interesting. I mean, I have a lot of that in my family too with my folks were both entrepreneurial, but like all my uncles and they worked on the rigs. My dad worked on the rigs even in the wintertime when he wasn't farming. So, I understand that dynamic of growing up, and but I always felt like there was something more. Obviously, you must have too, because you're here today. And so what, how did that journey kind of shake out from you as a kid?
Yeah. If you were to ask my younger brother, he would say, he tells stories about me selling Cheetos on the playground.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I
That's
was
awesome.
always hustling. Before there was a side hustle and a side gig, I had them.
That's awesome.
I remember getting in trouble in middle school for selling blow pops at school. Light trouble, not big trouble, but just talk to a little bit. I remember I bought this little nail painting set and I would do my friends' nails at like homecoming and prom in high school. I got a job my 16th birthday. I remember what I wore and everything. I knew exactly where I wanted to work. I went there, got the job. I was a waitress, hustled. Back then in the 90s, I was making about $100 a day, waitressing at this little place that I was a car hop at the root beer stand. And, just making dollar tips here and there for hot dogs and root beer. But I would hustle, and even though, waitressing might be working for somebody else, you're kind of working for yourself in a way because you can dictate how much you make depending on
Mhm.
how fast you are, how nice you are, how funny you are, So, and then I got into, some network marketing companies with products years ago. As same thing, just as a side hustle, just to make a few extra dollars. And then I left. I was in academia. I used to teach environmental policy at Ohio State University. And
Mm.
then I left all that, got into yoga, kind of a mid quarter life, I don't know, third of life, challenges, got me into yoga. And I decided I wanted to share all this, awesome awareness body stuff with the world, try to start a business and realized it was kind of hard. And
Ma-
I found myself
Imagine that, right?
oh my
Imagine
gosh,
that,
right? Like
right?
you're like, I'm gonna share this with the world.
Yeah, right.
And I found myself working 5 different small side gig jobs to pull all the bills together. And I remember one day I was packing panties in a warehouse
Wow.
in Denver for a young woman who had started a panty um, membership club where you pay a certain number of dollars, you get 2 panties a month in the mail. So I'm packing 2 panties in a box, 2 panties in a box, 2 panties in a box. And I look around at all these women doing it and I'm like, I'm a PhD packing panties. What the heck am I doing? I just had this like moment of like, this is so hard. And
Wow.
I just put it out to the universe or the air or whatever it is. And I said, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Show me the way. I'll follow the breadcrumbs. And within
Mhm.
about 3 weeks, I met a coach. Um, about 3 weeks after that, I hired her. And that year, I had made 5,000 in my business. And then the following year, I made 142.
Nice.
Yeah, and I've been able to to grow and help other people grow and implement what I've done and everything since. But what I would say is it's one thing to have a job and have a side gig just for extra money. It's a whole nother thing to have a full-time business if that's what you do.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
mhm.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, when you think about all the pivots in there, right? I mean, holy crap, that's like a pivot nightmare. But- well, not I'm nightmare is not the right word because there's so many lessons to be learned and taken from that whole experience that, you know, small business is hard. It's not
Yeah,
easy. And a lot of people want to do it
yeah,
or they try to do it. There's a reason why 93% of startups fail. And, a lot of it is we're not we're not built that way. We are originally from being hunter gatherers back when we were cavemen, right?
yeah,
We were then, But then we got programmed out of that to be employees. That's a whole nother conversation. but 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 you got to go through the hard knocks a little bit too. I mean, you look at, I mean, behind every success story is probably 100 train wrecks, right?
Yeah.
So
Lots of tears.
yeah, lots of tears, lots of money spent that did nothing. I mean, Jesus, boy, don't I know that.
Yep. Yep.
Probably spent millions of dollars in the last 2 or 3 years on marketing campaigns and stuff just to find out that I won't name them, but we all know the search engine
Yeah.
is just sending robot traffic, right? So, and those are the kind of hits small businesses can't take, really,
Yeah. Yep. I've invested
Um,
in that area and found the same thing.
yeah, yeah, I kind of figured you probably had.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's a plight, no doubt.
Yeah.
But people continue to do it because they don't know where to turn, right? So it's like, and I suspect you're a lot like me as you collaborate really well to create JV partnerships and things like that. I don't know if I'm right, but I think I kind of read that from you. That you're very much like that because you probably wouldn't still be around if you weren't
Yeah.
knowing your story to where you are today. So,
Yeah. I'm a natural connector. I can't help it. I
yeah,
just,
right.
you know, sometimes I think half of the time I'm spending in my weeks are connecting people that have nothing to do with my business, but I know I'm
Hmm.
just naturally wired that way, and I know that it all goes around, and my doctoral research was on collaborative decision making, and so it's just something that I see the benefit when two or more are gathered, we rise and exponentially. And so I love that. I mean, if anybody's out there struggling, don't do it alone. I think that's one of the biggest challenges for anybody who's starting out in business or even a little bit further along and not doing well, is they're still trying to do it all alone. And if you talk to anybody who's successful, they haven't done it alone.
Yeah.
They've had, partnerships, collaborators, a team, some
Hmm.
sort of support system to help them. And that was by far, like I said, I hired this coach and she helped me. And, she was with me for several years. And I've had tons of coaches and mentors and advisors and all the things over the years at this point. Now I've been in business for about 10 years. And, um, if it wasn't for those people helping me out, and even now, I'm in a group of people that are really lighting a fire under me. Um,
Hmm.
and I surround myself with those kinds of people so that I thrive. Um, I want to grow, non
Yeah.
consistently and exponentially. And so it's the people, there's that book, Who Not How.
Mm. It's
And
the
I
second
really,
time I've heard that title in the last 2 days.
goodness. Yeah. So that's been, I would say, for anybody who's really wanting to succeed in business, it's start asking the questions of who, not
Hmm. Yeah.
how. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting too, the whole island mentality, right? Of, and I know a lot of business owners because I mean, I own a major consulting firm, so I understand and I hear it or see it all the time. People need the assistance, yet they just continue to live on the island. And it's like, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's pride, if it's arrogant, if it's what it is. But it's something.
Well, I
And,
think I think entrepreneurs are naturally wired to be independent people. When people ask me like
yeah,
why do you have a business? I go, because I don't want to be told what to do.
yeah, that's,
It's the first thing. I mean, yeah, I got into it to help people and all that. Of course I'm going to help people, and that's just my operating system. But
hmm,
like literally, I mean, I could help people in a job, but I don't want to be told what to do. I don't like to be told what to do at all. by anybody. Now, if I hire you, you tell me what to do all day. I'll take it, you know?
Yeah. Right.
But I think we're just naturally wired to be very independent types. And so
Yeah.
it's a pattern we have to break to like really, even I do sometimes when I have, people that are that know more than me in a certain area. I have to really like soften and relax into receiving that information instead of being a know-it-all. My
Yeah.
best friend and accountability partner and colleague, we always talk about how like we're recovering know-it-alls, So I think entrepreneurs are just kind of wired to be independent.
I like that.
Yeah.
Don't be a recovering know-it-all. That's funny. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, well, gosh, there's just there's a lot of takeaways in all of that for sure. But I kind of want to hit some like real strategic points, and get some of that from you because I think there's a lot there to talk about. But if you just had a few, let's just say you had a few go-to pieces of advice that you could give a young entrepreneur or tell even an old dog, doesn't matter, right?
Mhm.
To miss an arrow or two. What would be some great pieces of advice you'd love to share to the world?
Well, number one is the people part, is
Mm,
find the people who can help you. Be willing to let go of the ego, the pride, and all that, and ask for help. Like there's no judgment when you ask for help. People love to give you ideas too. And if
mm,
somebody knows something and you ask them, they love to help you. They love to tell you. And so people aren't stingy with their ideas. Use people in your life if you want to thrive. Like they're your building blocks to your success. So that would be for sure the first thing. The second thing would be take care of your body.
mm. It's a good
Take care
one.
of yourself. I believe the way you take care of your body is the way you take care of your bank account.
It's a lot of truth in
Um,
that one.
yeah, and if you value yourself, your body, your health, um, other people will value you. They'll feel that. Even if they don't know what it is, they'll feel that. So take care of yourself. If you don't have time to go to the gym or do yoga or exercise or something, you need to go to the gym and do exercise, okay? Like if you think you don't have time, you need to go double. So take care of yourself. Make the time. Don't start that workday or end that workday without getting some sort of whatever it is for you. If it's taking a walk, a swim, a yoga, a bicycle ride, lifting weights. I don't care what it is, whatever your thing is, go dancing, do something for yourself because that really increases your self-worth and the value and people will feel it. So that's a huge component of what I teach. It's massive. And then I think the last one is trust your intuition.
Mm.
You know, you have this innate wisdom. And if you feel funny about something, feel off, like I'm not sure about that person or this opportunity or this project, um, listen to that, take some time, pause. There's no rush. I often say in business, most of us, I'm going to say most of us here, we're not saving babies. There's no rush. You can take a little time. It's okay. You
Mm.
know, but listen to your intuition because usually, when you move forward in a way against your intuition, you usually regret it. You have some sort of remorse about what unfolded. So listen to that intuition, and that really plays into the body piece. If you take care of yourself, your intuition will be more spot on.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I always think of intuition too as like we have so many ideas all the time that are like constantly barraging our brain, right? I know I do. It's just like sometimes it's hard to just shut it off. But but with the intuition part, we do have so many ideas and all these things. And I think the second half of that is also know when you got an ugly baby. Yeah, right. And get rid of the ugly baby. Not a real baby. I'm just saying the when you have all these ideas and you feel like, man, that was a great idea yesterday, and then something's telling you not to do it, and you do it anyway. I
Yeah.
mean, just know when to take that idea out behind the barn and put a bullet in it. That's all. Right?
Exactly. It's okay to let things go. It's okay to stop things. It's okay.
Yeah,
I mean, that is one thing that I have. I don't really care what people think about me.
right.
I have a good reputation because I have integrity, but I don't care if I decided to quit all of this and do something else because I was called to do it, I would, and I wouldn't care.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, and I think that's a big part is like that, some people are afraid of letting go of that ugly baby because they're scared of judgment of others.
Mm.
What are people going to say? You know?
Yeah. Keep.
And it doesn't matter. Most people don't really care, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like,
You
let
just
go of the ugly baby.
right. Can't just. It's only so many sticks of lipstick you can put on that pig.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good one. I mean, I see a lot of people trying to stick with something and they're not making any money. Like,
Yeah.
dude, like just let it go. Do the thing that you're really good at instead. Even though you
Mm-hmm.
want to do this other thing, if it's not working, it's not working. It's okay.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Go do
Yeah.
something else for sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Focus on what is working, not what's not working.
Yeah. I mean, I've had to do that in my own business. There's
Sure.
been a variety of things that I've sold over the years, but when I do the analysis, it's very clear I'm supposed to help people make money, period.
Right.
Like it's like the flashing lights. I would have never chosen to be a business coach in terms of that's not what I thought I would end up doing, but
Mm-hmm.
it's what I've done over and over and over, the most successful and what I'm good at. And so,
Yeah.
and I do love it, but I didn't like go to business school or grow up with entrepreneurial family or anything. I would have never thought that I would be the one doing this. I thought I would be like in the Peace Corps or something. So but I've listened to the signs and followed it, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't in the Peace Corps, but I spent 23 years in the Army. But
Well, that'll
so
that'll
that was
that'll
some
teach you a few things.
that was a whole new meaning of perspective.
Oh yeah. Beautiful. That's great to know. I'm glad you shared that, Jason.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's like anything else, moments of chaos splattered with some fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
No different in business, right? So that's why I call
Yeah.
it the war room. Business is war.
Absolutely.
So
Fun.
anyway, well, awesome, awesome stuff. How do you want people to try to connect with you, to work with you, chat with you, whatever the case may be?
Yep. If you want to speak to me directly, have a conversation, connection, learn more, talk about business, talk about life, you can go to Speak with Lila, Lila, speakwithlila.com. And if you want to check me out, my website is the Lila, Lila, Veronica, the Lila Veronica.com.
Pretty easy to remember that. For sure. Cool. Well, the splash question of the show, right, is, and just kind of closing things down, is, you know, if you could have invited anybody here today, Leela, any given point of time, dead or alive, doesn't matter, who would have you loved to have here and why them?
My grandmother.
Mm,
My grandma Aggie.
Grandma
She
Aggie.
was hilarious. She was kind of like this blonde bombshell, ditzy woman. Always said funny things, like out just no nonstop funny things coming out of her mouth. And she passed away before I started, being online, doing podcasts, speaking a bunch, all of this stuff. But I'll tell you what, if I would have had her on with me, people would be cracking up. So if I could have, brought anybody on, it would have been my grandma Aggie
That's
because
awesome.
she just was a riot. Yeah.
My grandpa was like that too. He was just it's funny because I had Joe Foster on the show about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I suppose now it's been. The young kids wouldn't even know who that is. But Anyway, I said, well, what contributed you to being so successful with Reebok, right?
Mhm.
And he said, well, three things. You got to have fun. You got to have more fun. And it has to be an absolute hoot.
Oh,
That was his answer. I was just like,
wow.
I don't even know what to say about that.
Love that. Love it. Love it.
Anyway. Well, gosh, well, thank you for being on, Leela. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. I always say we all have the same 168 hours a week. Thanks for stopping by here for 31 and spending time with us and our audience today in the War Room.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate you.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to War Room Moments with your host, Jason Miller. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we'll see you on the next episode.